before we get going on the sightseeing part of the cruise, I just ask for your attention. We're coming from the mud up there, the Parramatta River, and then we're visit the eastern shore of Garden Island over here, not the naval installation, there is the naval building centre there near the point. That's the resident bay down there, that looks amazing. I am not sure. It's just sort of looking at the boat traffic ahead of him here before he makes it go. Quite a few decades. Because of where they're located, there is only about 4 metres deep through here, so it is a no-wash zone to protect the foreshore on both sides. Historical on the left, NIMBYs on the right.
Fantasea cruise. We're getting on the Fantasea. Everybody wants to go up.
Welcome aboard Fantasea 8 Seasons. We're one of our sightseeing cruise on Sydney Harbour. My name's Jeff, I'll be talking to you this afternoon. Also crewing on board we have Captain James in charge of the vessel and Ella. Now before we get going on the sightseeing part of the cruise, I just ask for your attention for a couple of minutes just to go through the safety aspects of this vessel. Fantasea 8 Seasons has all the safety equipment we are required to have by law. We have first aid kits and defibrillators on board. We also have life jackets underneath the seats in the main cabin and including light lockers throughout the vessel. In the extremely unlikely event of an emergency, please follow the direction of the crew at all times, including the use of life jackets, which is only done under the crew's instructions. While we're underway, we may be subject to wind, rush and waves. You are free to move around the vessel, but we do ask that you keep 3 points of contact at all times, which is 2 feet on the deck and 1 hand holding onto some part of the boat. No running, no jumping and no climbing. Children should be within arm's length of parents or guardians at all times. You guys, who owns you? You need to be able to get a hold of them, so no running around. If the kids do fall, they are going to lose skin, so that's why we say that. The stairs, you need to use both hands to maintain your balance moving up and down the stairs. Also, please do not stand near the top of the stairs. The biggest distance you can fall on a boat, and the nature of our deck means if you do fall down those stairs, you are going to do yourself an injury. I don't feel like catching anyone up at this time of day, so please do not stand at the top of the stairs. The bathrooms are located at the rear of the main cabin. There are 3 down there. They are marine toilets, which means only what has passed through your body and the paper in there is flushed, nothing else. They block more easily than what we have on the land, so please, only what comes out of you and the paper in there. This is a no smoking service, which means no smoking or vaping of any kind anywhere on the vessel. We do have a bar service available to you at the forward section of the main cabin. You can purchase soft drinks and alcohol from the crew. And a final thing for you, Fantasea Cruises would like to pay our respects to the Gadigal people, the First Nations custodians of the waterways on which this crew act differently at different times of the day by their shape and their attitude. They also clean themselves in rainwater. So you won't see anyone up there with a long pole in the blue, they clean up themselves. The air conditioning system as well was designed by Denison. It uses seawater from the harbour going through a series of pipes and heat exchangers to maintain the temperature of the building at about 22 degrees. The building, the Opera House, if you built it now, would cost $1 billion Australian dollars. When they built it, they estimated in 1950-60s terms a cost of around $100 billion. So it was 10 times what they thought, a little bit more than 10 times what they thought it would cost. So the governments of the day created the Sydney Opera House lottery. a series of lotteries to pay for the building, effectively publicly or crowdfunding the Sydney Opera House. Another little bit of innovation when that structure was put into place. Now, Sydney Cove or Circular Quay, that's where you've boarded the vessel. That's where the English first set up their colony in 1788. When they set it up, the other thing they did was establish a number of farms in this area here to try and supplement the food sources of the colony. So this is called Farm Cove. Unfortunately for the English, the farms failed. They were trying to grow Northern European or Northern Hemisphere crops in the Southern Hemisphere. So the soil, the rainfall, and the climate, none of that matched what they were trying to do, so the farms failed. So the use of the area then became what you see all around you. From 1816, they established the Royal Botanic Gardens of Sydney. What's there now is primarily examples of plant life from across the country of Australia. Open every day of the year, free to visit. And a nice example of all sorts of flora from across the country. A little bit of fauna as well. We do get birds in the area at different times of the day, and also we get fruit bats in the area at night. Now the seawall in this cove, the sandstone blocks that make up this seawall, it took them 30 years to build, from 1840. The blocks were not quarried to make the seawall. The blocks were originally quarried to make Government House New South Wales. That's the second version of it, you can see just up there amongst the canopy. The first version, when they built the second one, was taken down and used to make this seawall all around the cove. Now we'll move a little bit further up, you'll get a better perspective of the bridge and the Opera House in one photo. If you're using a phone, turn it on its side, do landscape, and you'll get the buildings a bit more, or the structures a bit more effectively in one photo. Just move a little bit further away from the stairs for me, please, ma'am. Excuse me. Just move a bit further away from the stairs. Thank you.
Sorry. How good?
Walsh was coming. I know you don't. I've been out here before, once, twice. Now this is a Naval Base ahead of us. It was originally an island that they're tied up alongside. It was called Garden Island, and it was a colonial attempt again to grow crops for the colony, penal colony. It didn't work, but it was very strategically located, so that became the English Navy's base of operation during the 19th century. And after Australia became independent in 1901, the Australian Navy's main base of operation in Sydney Harbour. So the flagship of the Australian Navy normally sits directly ahead of us. It's gone out earlier today for some sort of exercise or manoeuvre on Canberra. It's a sister ship of the Adelaide over there. Yep. I don't know what those guys are up to. This looks like something being filmed, but I'm not sure. I don't think they're trying to put out something on the water. I think this is just spinning right like that. This is just... I'm looking for a drone now. This is probably getting filmed somewhere. So that's a Port Authority vessel. Could be drills. Practicing putting out someone who's had a bit of a misadventure with their fuel system. I don't know. Not sure. James may know, they might have put something out on the commercial radio channel. Anyway, it looks like fun. You can visit the eastern shore of Garden Island over here, not the Naval mention there is the Naval Heritage Centre there near the point. That's Elizabeth Bay down there in the distance with the yacht on the mooring, one of the more exclusive residential areas in Sydney. Mainly apartments, where there's lots and lots of more yacht modes. That's the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia in Rushcutters Bay. It goes down a bit deeper in from Elizabeth Bay. They organise the Sydney Harbour yacht race every year. So somewhere around 100 yachts will reach Sydney Harbour and make the race down to Hobart in different classes based on the size of the vessel and the crew. It takes them about a day to less than a week to get there, and anywhere up to 2 weeks to come back. It is quite dangerous, it's only for the very experienced. People do regularly get injured or worse making that race, so it is only for the really experienced. So I mix up a bit of what I talk about. So we talk about the colonial footprint in this country, but I'll also refer to the First Nations. So the Gadigal people call that island there Balmain Harbour. You can get a First Nations perspective. It's the longest continuing culture in the world, 60,000 years worth of history, passed on through song and dance and word stories. Tribal Warrior is a First Nations organisation that runs a number of the old ferries out of Blackwater Bay near the fish markets. And I'll take you to places like Balmain Harbour and give you a bit of the First Nations perspective of this part of the world. Well worth doing. European history obviously big footprints. First Nations not so much, but it is well worth hearing their stories. So, in the 1840s, if you built a mansion on the harbour here, it would look like the House over there, which means murmur of the waves in Gaelic. Good example of 19th century Gothic architecture. That's what the mansion looked like in the 19th century. In the 20th and 21st century, something along the lines here. So most of the buildings that are on the water or set one up are mansions, not apartments. Lots of millionaires, multi-millionaires and billionaires living here. This is called Point Piper. It's the most exclusive residential area in Sydney. Might have been the island, but let's see. Wales, 4 out of 5. Breaching and close encounters. I'm not going to read that last little bit. The sea is 2 out of 5, meaning it's a little bit bumpy out there. But that tends to be the trend. The conditions when they're on that low range of our scale, still safe to go out, but not comfortable if you're not used to being in the open ocean. It tends to create more active whales, and that's what Dave sounds like he got on that trip there. Back to Point Piper. The property record for the country of Australia used to be in Point Piper. On our right, on the top of the ridge line there, that red terracotta roof with palm trees and the sandstone, that's Yuki House, named after a village on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. Has a view to the Tasman Sea to the east. To the west, you look over the top of Clark Island and Balmain Harbour at the bridge of the Opera House. And to the north, those buildings in the sunlight up there, which is typical of the northern beaches, that's Manly. So the name Manly dates back to the colonial settlement of this country. When the English first went over there, Governor Phillip and his entourage visited that part of the harbour. They met the Gadigal people, the First Nations people who lived here, the custodians over at what we now call Manly, and the Guy Martin lot. And they were much bigger and more powerfully built than all the First Nations people they'd met up to that point. The best perspective I can give you is, if you think some of the Polynesian people you see, how big they can be. That sort of perspective, much bigger than what I'm doing. So someone in Philip's entourage said they look Manly. So when they went to name the suburb, someone went, yeah, that works. We'll call it Manly. That's where the name of the suburb originated. You look it up. You are welcome to fact check anything I tell. Prove that I'm not making it up. The same as that there, that salmon coloured building, or the pinky sort of the building, that is the House of Mouse. That mansion is owned by the Disney Corporation. So when they film their movies, Marvel and whatever, movies and up to the north. Its current name is Shark Island, and from what I can see, that is because it looks like a shark from above. That's how they gave it its name. The last known shark incident near this island was in 1877, so that's nothing to do with the name. The name is just because it looks like a shark from above. I don't know where he's going. He's directionally challenged, maybe. I think they do normally have one runs up to Palm Beach at this time of the day, but he's not. Not set up to take off into the wind. That would be going that way. He does have enough water to do it. If he spins around now to his right, he's got his flaps down, so yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to take off. So from what's behind us, if it starts to get a bit loud here in a minute, he will take off. When they do get off the water, they do spray a bit of water. In a smaller boat, they will spray a bit of water. I am not sure, I'm confused. The bottom line when you're on a boat driving in this area is you maintain your course and speed and they'll do what they need to do. For us as a tourist boat, it's a bit harder because he's just been flying turned to the surface here. I've got a feeling he's going to take off towards Bradley's head up behind us. I'm not real sure. So we're just doing a nice little sunset cruise, giving people an experience of an old sailing vessel on the harbour. Sydney Torships also operates a larger vessel called the Soren Larsen that goes offshore for a day or two or longer. It gives people a real experience of sailing, also celestial navigation. Yeah, you can get so nice. Their crew typically, or Sydney Torships, their crew typically are volunteers, but you can book in and go for an experience. So they take you through the rigging, and if you've got a bit of a maritime background, we do have masters on there who can explain celestial navigation to you, navigating by the sun and stars. Briefly mention the smallest national park in the country, closed to the public, Port Denison. You cannot visit it, which is a terrible shame. It's got a brilliant museum, and it's a great history of events in a great location, looking at the bridge and the Opera House. Has been closed to the public for at least 2 years, so hopefully at some point in the near future they make it available to everyone again and it reopens.
King Charles stayed in that building. Wow, when he visited. Imagine that.
We are heading west. We are going to go under the coat hanger, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Take us a few minutes. That bridge was completed nearly 100 years ago in 1939. It's Goat Island, which relates to the war. There have always been goats living on the island. Because of the strategic location, they recognise it the same as the Gadigal people. The English colonists and people, when they had their penal colony here, set up fortifications, barracks, the gunpowder depository, and some convict installations as well. But it's also one of the last points on the harbour that has its original maritime buildings still in place, rusting away. Most of them have been reclaimed, either renovated or knocked down and replaced with some sort of recreational or accommodation. But on Goat Island there, they are as they were first put in place. So there's a couple of them there just near the point on the eastern side of Goat Island. And you'll see some more as we move around to the western side of the island. Quite a few decades. Because of where they're located, it would be very expensive to potentially release some contaminants into the water if they were knocked down. So they've been, for the time being, they have been left as is. Some of the water facilities there have been taken down recently, but the buildings have been left in place at the time being. I haven't seen any indication, anything reported the program to knock them down. And the other problem we've got is the proximity of some of the historic colonial buildings right behind them. So I think for the time being, they're staying as is. But it is a big contrast to what you've got on the other side of the point there at Sydney Point. Some very colourful buildings now called the Waterview Wharf Workshops, built about 10 years ago. They were workshops for a long time. They were knocked down and they put those ones up in the same style. Restaurants, bars and apartments in a suburb of Balmain that was once a working class suburb, now very much. We'll slow down a bit moving through this channel. The water is only about 4 metres deep through here, so it is a no-wash zone to protect the foreshore on both sides. Historical on the left, NIMBYs on the right.
The way you can have
when you see them while hiking the Hartis River Trail, well, you can say you are not in Hartis.
And down to the right there, that is Darling Harbour, as it's now known. Darling was a governor of the colony of New South Wales in the 19th century, put his name on a lot of places, including that harbour there. That port facility as it was, the old cargo wharves and the like, were derelict in the 1970s, 1980s. They've now got an abundance of restaurants, bars, sea life aquarium. In the 1990s they built the Maritime Museum down there, the old Balmain Bridge, which was once a vehicle traffic bridge. But that whole precinct now full of tourist options, restaurants, bars and the like, coming all the way out past King Street and up to Barangaroo here, which is that circular corkscrew sort of building with the flat area and then the parkland. Barangaroo opened up about 5 years ago. It's one of the last reclamations of old port facilities. It was used primarily for containers, so it's a big flat area. The parkland with all the natives, and where it's flat between the parkland and the tower is going to be residential apartments of some sort, for another $2 billion Australian dollars at the least. This is about right. This is called Walsh Bay. They're the old cargo wharves that operated for the commercial shipping for years and years and years, more than 100 years old. Now restaurants, bars, apartments, dams and performance areas for the Sydney Theatre Company and the like. Walsh Bay was one of the big developments prior to the Sydney Olympics. There was a lot of different activity in this part of the world prior to the Olympics, a lot of different structures being built, including the reclamation of these old timber wharves at Walsh Bay into what you see there now. And Sydney Olympics, if anyone didn't notice, was 25-year anniversary, not the weekend just gone, but the one before. Flags on the top of the bridge were at half mast for most of the day. They're back up the top, and I went on to find out why they were lowered. What they were there to commemorate. And the only flags in the area that were at half mast, so I had no clue. And there was a couple of old residential buildings in there at the rocks as well. So nice flat walk from where we're going to drop you off. Give you some European history, and as I said, if you want to appreciate a bit more the First Nations history, you find Tribal Warrior over at Blackbottle Bay near the fish markets, and they'll take you through the First Nations history and all sorts of points around the harbour.